All right, everyone, it's week 2, Turf Watch episode 2. You know what time it is. Last week, things didn't go how we planned. 49ers wiped out the Steelers in that home opener. But this week, we get a Monday night challenge up against the familiar foe, the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people have been jumping to conclusions or maybe trying to rush into things because I've seen a lot of Matt Canada should be fired. A lot of Tomlin should be on the hot seat. But let's go through these comments from last week. I appreciate the love. I really do. It's so nice. I'm glad you guys are liking what we're doing. Here we go. He's saying, you don't see the 49ers making the playoffs. Man, I'm willing to bet this video doesn't age well. I'll be here tomorrow and throughout the season, my guy. You just gained a new fan. I think your idea of the Niners might just get you humbled in a hurry. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in and enjoying the content. Even when I'm wrong, I'll give the hot takes too. I'm not going to be a guy who's just going to regurgitate what the national media is saying or what these local journalists are saying. I'm going to give you my personal opinion, why I think that, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just this video aged like milk. Does anyone know the success Seumalo had against Bosa? The thumbnail was Isaac Seumalo and Kenny Pickett, two, not the worst. I didn't think Seumalo was one of the worst. He struggled, but he wasn't the worst. For worst takes, see your own on the 49ers. Absolutely clueless. Okay. A lot of things were unpredictable, but this week we saw a little bit of the Browns last week. We saw a little bit of the Steelers last week. And if you wanted me to give you just my honest opinion watching the game, you'd say that the Steelers are going to get wiped out. You saw the Browns dominate Joe Burrow, a team that had been to the Super Bowl just 2 years ago. You saw them completely dominate them, not let them move the ball at all on offense. And this is a team that has been good at moving the ball. They have weapons, more weapons than the Steelers. They're better on offense than the Steelers have been the last 2 seasons, okay? So if you want me to just go off that, I would say that the Steelers are going to lose. But that would be foolish because if you actually use some context and you understand what this rivalry is, you understand that the Steelers don't lose to the Browns at home, and they definitely don't lose on Monday night at home. The last time that the Steelers played on Monday night was against the Browns, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was Ben Roethlisberger's last home game. So they're 20-0 at home in their last 20 Monday Night Football games. Make it 21-0. These things are very predictable. You saw it on Thursday night with the Eagles and the Vikings. Eagles have consistently been the more dominant team in primetime over the Vikings, and you can continue to go with this pattern. Chris Adamski, he is a journalist from the Tribune Review. He says the most recent time the Steelers lost at home to Cleveland was 20 years ago, and the most recent time the Steelers lost a home Monday night game was 32 years ago. Some people in the comments, I've got a good feeling both droughts will end Monday night. This guy does bring up a good point. He says unless you count the playoff loss a few years ago, that was to the Browns. That was a tough one. So actually the last time the Steelers lost at home on Monday night was the 2020 wildcard game. As we know, that was a disaster from the start. Let's just move into this week. Let's see what the people are saying. Personally, I'm feeling good about it, but let's go. Here's a Steelers fan. We need to get King and JPJ on the field, keep Pat P in the slot, get Levi off the field. From what I saw, Pat P had a few decent pass deflections. Strong safety position is suspect. We need Cam back. O-line needs to tighten up a bit. Matt Canada is sorry. We need to take pride in stopping the run, bring back the steel curtain. This guy's just rambling. He's going on and on. A lot of people are upset with Canada. Understandably so. You should be upset with Canada. You should be upset with this offensive production. But there's no reason that he should be fired right now. If this continues, if we don't see any progress, if we don't see any flashes of what we saw in the preseason, yeah, he's got to be gone at the end of the season, but that's a different topic. Steelers stink, and maybe they will get a top 5 draft pick next draft. This guy says, just like last year, we remember the Steelers fans, they always get down on themselves early. You lose one game, you think you're never going to win the game again. Here's another Matt Canada take. Matt Canada's seat should feel volcanic after another predictable offensive output. Is it possible to bring in Cliff Kingsbury as offense coordinator to start opening up this offense? I'd rather a slow transitioning offensive scheme now than another just barely over 500 season. Steelers fans here, they're just simply spoiled. Most NFL teams rarely see a season over 500. Personally, I can't remember a season where the Steelers have finished below 500. Cliff Kingsbury was supposed to be some offensive guru, and he couldn't get it done with a Heisman-winning quarterback, Kyler Murray, and superstar athletes on the defense. If he can't get it done, someone who's claimed to be an offensive guy. What makes you think that he's going to be able to step into the Steelers and make Kenny Pickett and now a bunch of backup wide receivers outside George Pickens? What's going to make them super successful and jump off the page? Same Steelers as the last 3 years. Players have changed, but they still look the same. Here's an interesting one. He says Austin Watt seemed to be the only varsity players playing on the varsity team. I believe he's talking about Calvin Austin, which part of my notes for last week's game was I think he should be a focal point of this offense. He's super slippery, quick moving. I think he has a little bit more slipperiness than Deontay Johnson, I would argue. But anyways, Calvin Austin and TJ Watt seem to be the only varsity players playing on the varsity team. Maybe a couple of other possibilities. Like I say about the Pirates, let the kids play. Darnell Washington, Broderick Jones, Joey Porter Jr. all need more reps moving forward. This guy hits the nail on the head. They've gotten a ton of experience, rookie OTAs, training camp, preseason, but they haven't experienced anything like this real deal football, this NFL football. I think Arthur brought up a fantastic point on the podcast this week. He said that the last time the San Francisco 49ers played, it was the NFC Championship versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The last time the Steelers played was a regular season game where you kind of thought maybe a few things, if they went the right way, you could sneak in a playoff. Anyways, it's just not the same type of physicality. It's not the same type of mentality going into this game. 49ers, last game they played was physical, intense. From the first whistle to last whistle, it was hard hitting. It was locked in, gritty stuff. Steelers, obviously they play with passion and fire, but a regular season game just can't be compared to the environment of an NFC Championship game. The team that you saw in Week 1 isn't going to be the same team you're going to see in 6 weeks. By Thanksgiving, I can promise you this offense will be moving like you saw it in preseason, and I think you're going to see them get closer to that level where they could compete with teams such as the 49ers, the Eagles, the Chiefs. This guy says one player of the 53-man roster came to play yesterday. TJ Watt, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 recovered. Can't believe how bad Pickett played. He looked nervous in the pocket and inaccurate. Nothing like what he played like last year or in the preseason. Very disappointing. Pickett does not improve, and Tomlin never had a losing season will be over. This guy's got 3 hot takes. He says it's week 1. It's not the end of the world. Steelers have a new look team that need time to gel before taking on the contenders. This team can still make the playoffs. This guy is saying it completely. I think he's the only one who's had a sane response to the week 1 and looking forward to week 2. The Steelers let up over 5 yards a run against the 49ers. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, fantastic running back, but you're going up against Nick Chubb this week, who's no slouch himself, and now you don't have Cam Hayward. Steelers need to figure out how to stop the run, or they will not win this game. They won't be able to control the clock, and things will be bad. Things will be ugly. They're going to need to stop the run. I don't know how you do it without Cam Hayward. I'm hoping Keanu Benton saw some things last week, and I hope he gets some more time. This guy says this is the final proof that preseason is meaningless. Canada is still bad, and he's learned nothing. I'm not sure if preseason means a lot. It's always awesome to see the Steelers young guys get in action. It's fun to see the potential that they might have, but has it done anything for the Steelers? Has it help them get on a similar playing field as their opponents? I don't think so. Obviously, Steelers are one of few teams in the NFL who brings out their starters and gives them more playing time than most teams, I would say. This is from a brand called The Game Day, and they were predicting every NFL team's 2023 record. Here's the Steelers' prediction. They have them going 7-10. They got the first one right. Week 2, they have them losing to the Browns. They have them losing Week 3 to the Raiders, picking up their first win against the Texans in Week 4, and following that up with 3 more losses until they get a win in Week 9 against the Titans. This guy says 7-10 is hilarious, but swept by the Browns might take the cake. I'd literally put the house on neither of these things happening. I would agree with that. This guy says a 1-6 start. Yeah, okay. Steelers did win 9 games with a rookie quarterback. They had a worse offensive line last year. They're not winning 7 games. One thing that scares me this week, and this is the thing that matters the least, is that the Browns are debuting their whiteout uniforms on Monday. These uniforms are clean. I think all the Browns jerseys have been ugly. Every single renovation or little tweak they've made to their jerseys, I've always thought they've been dumb. There have been some awful Browns jerseys. I think Bumblebee jerseys are better than anything the Browns have ever put out, obviously. But these whiteout jerseys, they're cool. They're cool. I can't lie. What scares me about this is the Steelers played last year against the Bengals, where they unveiled their white Bengal stripe jerseys. They were clean. They were fire. Do jerseys help teams play better? I think so. If I'm watching college basketball or college football, and I see a team have just a really cool, unique uniform that they don't usually wear outside the Ducks, because they do that every single week. But let's say Navy's got this really awesome helmet this week. I'm inclined to bet for Navy. I'm inclined to root for Navy because of these jerseys. I don't know. I think it gives you a little extra pop on the field. So that one scares me. I'm not going to lie. I wish we'd match it with a little color rush. Here's a take that I think is very interesting, and one that I wasn't fully on board with at first, but after seeing him play Thursday night, I kind of agree. The Steelers missed Terrell Edmunds on Sunday, and I'm not afraid to say it. All of our safeties were struggling outside of Minka. I think part of what Terrell Edmunds brought to this defense was that he wasn't a guy who was going to go out there, be super aggressive, trying to get picks, be a ball hawk. And he let Minka do his thing, read the field, make those big-time plays, while Edmunds would be secure, getting those tackles, making sure nothing crazy happens. The Steelers definitely missed Edmunds on Sunday, and I think you're going to realize as the season goes on how important he actually was to this defense. Here's a new segment we're going to call Mark Madden's Awful Tweet of the Week. Mark Madden is a big Steelers voice out in Pittsburgh. He is still on the X, I believe, and hosts his show, but he's one of those guys who's known for just saying the most outrageous things possible to get attention. That's what those media guys do. No big deal. I get it. It's their job. I do the same thing. I say 49ers aren't as good as the Steelers. I was wrong. Whatever. But this guy just says outrageous stuff for clicks. Before this game, this team could win Super Bowl. We're going to kill the Niners. Now we'll have to realize San Francisco is a very good team. And it's only one game. We're a work in progress. And we got some young players. And it's not about how you start and how you finish. Blah, 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 blah. Hating. As much as I despise Mark Madden's takes sometimes, I do find him hilarious. He says, it absolutely dumbfounds me when people think replace Canada solves the Steelers' woes. How can you be that stupid? And then I remember meeting some of you. Wow, this guy is nuts. I want to see some of his takes on the Browns. It's not feeling like he's feeling too optimistic. Here's Stephen A. Smith from ESPN, the number one talking head in all of sports. He said, Todd Haley's on NFL radio, damn it. Go back and get him before we have to deal with Matt Canada. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm getting sick and tired of that coordinator. Mike Tomlin, do something about it. Mike Tomlin, y'all don't hesitate to make changes with players when they don't produce, but you want to hold on to offensive coordinators. All right, before we wrap this thing up, let's see some predictions for this Monday night's game. Let's see who's right, who's wrong. So last week on this, the Steelers had 6 out of 10 on their side. This week, things are changing, just 4 out of 10. Last week, they were showing them score more than 20 points in a lot of the predictions. This guy, Sessler, last week he said the Steelers were going to lose in overtime too. I mean, this guy really just wants to be like, I called the overtime. I've called the overtime. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of Turf Watch. I'm Dom Farrow. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope Steelers get a dub on Monday night. So if you see any awful takes between now and the next Steelers game, please send me them on Twitter at Dom Farrow. It would really be helpful to air these ones out and make sure the Steelers are getting their respect. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 3. Go Steelers.